My name is Tom Manhart. I'm the speaker chair, and I'm happy to introduce our speaker today. He gave me permission to truncate his bio, and I'm kind of glad he did because I have to read it off my phone. Tom Markel is the founder, chairman, and CEO of Storz Brewing Company, Storz Trophy Room Grill and Brewery, and Storz Riverfront Development Company in Omaha, Nebraska. He is the founder and chairman of Virtue Capital Corporation, owner of www.ibank.com, and he is the founder and chairman of Credon Trust Software Inc., a cloud-based credit screening solution for businesses to credit-approve new customers. Tom Markel has served as chairman of America's Second Harvest Food Bank in Orange County, and he is also a Knight in the Order of Malta. Please help me welcome Tom Markel.
3 summers ago, my wife and I saw a film on The Way, The Camino. How many people have seen The Camino or The Way? 30 days later, we decided to walk it. And on July 4th, we took off for Spain and began a journey, a 30-day journey, a 500-mile walk, starting in Pied-de-Port, France, on the Pyrenees, on the France side of the Pyrenees, walking over the Pyrenees to Roncesvalles, and then on to Pamplona, where I ran with the bulls at 6:30 in the morning, which was, if only my laundryman will know exactly how that works. That was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life, for 100 feet from here to that window. 8 bulls chasing you, and my hand went right on the side of one of them. And then from there, walking into Burgos, and then on to León, and from León into Santiago, Spain. About 500 miles. And so I had 3 epiphanies that I wanted to share with you, and then I'm on one of those Caminos now, which I'm going to talk about here in a few minutes, which is this business of stores. In that 500-mile journey in 30 days, 3 epiphanies came to me. And the first one is, it is far easier to live life as a pilgrim than a tourist. I think as we get richer and we get more influential, it's easier to live life as a tourist because we demand more, we become more spoiled, we become more selfish in our ways. And I was certainly living that life. I had built and sold almost 13 companies, had a bandwidth of experience, created a $1 billion, almost $2 billion company. And so I had the trappings of what happens with success, and I demand lots out of people. I demand out of the people, I demand out of my assets, I buy, I acquire, and all those kind of things come with wealth. And what I came to realize on this Camino is that you can moan and groan about a cold bed or a cold shower or no bed, but what you find out after a couple of days, there's a lot of people sleeping in parks, and you have a bed. And there's a lot of people not taking a shower, and you have a shower. And there's a lot of people on this journey that are their feet are completely raw. I mean raw, from walking for something, and my feet aren't raw. You know, I might have a blister here, or a blister there. So what you kind of find out is that the people, and by the way, you're more attractive to people as a pilgrim than you are as a tourist. There's a little shell you wear on your backpack that lets you know you're a pilgrim. And so when you get into the city, there's probably 6,000 or 7,000 people walking at any one time getting to that city. So you get up about 5:30 in the morning where it's dark, you start walking, you got a little headlight on, and you get to the light, you have coffee about 9, you get to the next village about 11 o'clock where you have some sandwich or something, and then you get into your city walking 18 miles a day about 2:30 in the afternoon, where I would sit my wife down at the local church and get her a beer because everybody's closed except the bars. And then I would hunt for a place, and I would knock on all the doors until someone opened up their door and said, "Welcome, pilgrim, we have a place for you." So in that pilgrimage through life, in enjoying the things that you got, the cold showers, the hard beds, the non-blistered feet, the warm days, you start to realize that you're pretty blessed with very little. It doesn't take a lot to keep you alive, except friendships. That's really the most important thing that you kind of discover in your journey, is that people make it happen. Other people make your life easier or make it harder, and it's the way you treat them. So it's the epiphany I had, the first one was it's easier to be a pilgrim than it is a tourist, because the first 7 days I was demanding, I wanted this, I was paying for it, I expected it, I wanted a good warm shower, I wanted a nice comfortable bed, move me from this room to that room, and I discovered, God, I'm a jerk. You know, so anyway, that was the first one. So, and I wasn't getting anywhere. You know, sorry, that's the only room we have. Sorry, that's the only shower there is. So, you know, you bloom where you're planted. That's kind of what I came out of this with. The second thing was you get far further with a cause in your life than you do in an accomplishment. And what do I mean by that? Is that after about 5 or 6 days, the people that we began walking with disappeared. And I would ask other people, what happened to the people that we were walking with? He says, well, they wanted to get there. They had this demand to get there. They wanted to put this on their resume. They wanted to do this achievement thing to say, I did it, and they failed. And I often find that in business, people failing in business without a cause. They say, I want to make this for a profit. I want to do this. I want to build my business to X times. And although that's kind of an objective, it's not a mission statement. It's not really why you're doing it. And I would encourage you to find out the cause of why you're doing it. What's the real inner cause of why you're in business? What's the inner cause of why you're a parent? What's the inner cause of why you're a friend or you're on a board? What's the real heart-driven inner cause? And our cause was that our daughter hadn't talked to us for 4.5 years and still has not. We have 4 children, 30, 29, 28, and then 21. And this girl went to El Salvador on the Jesuit Education Corps. She went several times. She came home. She was disgusted with the wealth. She was disgusted with $3.85 Starbucks coffees, and she was disgusted with all the trappings of all that sort of stuff, and just checked out of our lives. She went to San Francisco, and we haven't talked to her since. So that was when we did the hike. That was about 1.5 years in that she hadn't spoke to us, and now we're 4.5 years that she hasn't spoke to us. And when I give this talk, I find that more and more people have daughters they haven't spoke to over 40 years, 30 years, sons they haven't spoke to for many years, and you may have friends of yours that are like this, and maybe you're yourself. So we decided that we're going to hike for a cause. We're going to hike to see what was really the issues of why our daughter isn't speaking to us. And it's really easy to point blame to somebody else. But I found out in life is that when you start admitting your own mistakes, people start to realize they like you even more. You start to have issues, right? And so you start to unpack those with people, and they go, wow, he's not such a jerk after all. You know, he's got real feelings, he's got real issues. And so we really started to realize that our cause and why we made it 500 miles with the blisters and the cold showers and sleeping on the rough, sidewalks and doing whatever we had to do, was this cause that we had to understand the good Lord's reason why our daughter hadn't spoke to us for all these years and take ownership of part of the problem. How do I take ownership for part of the problem why she hasn't talked to us? Because reasonable people don't talk to other people. I mean, it's reasonable. It's unreasonable why your daughter doesn't speak to you. It's unreasonable to me. Why is that, So I had to unpack that journey, and so I found that if you have a cause in your life or your business, you're going to go so much further with a cause than with an accomplishment. That was the second epiphany. And the third one, for CEOs and for leaders and business owners, if you do this long enough, I'm 59 years old. I've been in business since I was 13. I've had 16 companies that I've started. I have a bandwidth of, what I kind of relate it to baseball. So I've had a strikeout. I've had 9 first base hits. I've had 2 second base and 3 third base and an out of the park home run. And that bandwidth of experience has an issue with control at the top. As a CEO, I want to control what everybody's doing. I want to understand what everybody's doing. I want no secrets. I want to know it all happening all at once now. And don't surprise me. I want to know all this stuff. And so when we started on our Camino, as I said, July 4th, we made it there on August 4th, 30 days later into Santiago. What I decided to do was just pack a backpack and leave. Just leave. So we left on July 4th with no plans, no hotels, no meals, no cities, no nothing. Just walk. Like a pilgrim, just walk. And what I found about that is when you let the Holy Spirit in your life to help you guide your life and you really rely on the Holy Spirit to lead your life, it's amazing how beautiful life becomes, because you start on the road, and you start smelling the flowers, and you start looking at the trees, and you look at the sunsets, and you look at the sunrises, and the rain comes, and you really enjoy the rain. And what happens in that, when you give up control, life blossoms, people blossom, situations blossom around you. And when I gave up control, all of a sudden, people look at you differently. You got a smile on your face. I often go in an elevator and I smile at people. They can't help but smile back. But if you're frowning, they're going to frown back, because obviously in hospitals, I go into hospitals a lot, and I smile in the elevators because there's a problem in the hospital, right? Everybody's got issues. So I think this issue of giving up control, let control down, let your guards down, let people into your lives, and in my case, into my life. I needed to let people into my life and stop controlling. And I found the openness of humanity. I found the beauty, and I found ugliness as well. But had I not done that, I would not really be as whole as I am today. And I'm still working on, as Dickon said, I'm still working on my pilgrimage. And that leads me to, we were done. And I have a software company in California called iBank, and we help small businesses with all their accounting across the country. And my young people said, Mr. Markel, we really don't need you anymore. And I said, oh. Now, I wouldn't have been able to take that had I not walked the Camino. So he says, why don't you go find something to do that's constructive? And I thought, well, wow. Okay, my people fired me. And I said, okay, I'm going to go find something to do. So on February 14th in 2013, I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning from a dream. And the dream said, start the family brewery for family unity. And I thought, I just went right to act again, because I'm an old guy. I wake up at 3 o'clock every morning. So I just thought, that's the way it is. So anyway, I went back to bed, and then on Easter Day, I'm in Mammoth, California, skiing with my wife on a day like this, and this epiphany came to me again, this little bird, the Holy Spirit I found in my life, just kind of like a butterfly, hits your shoulder and goes away. It doesn't leave big impacts. It just, whoosh, and it's gone. And I thought, what? Wait a minute. Okay, so it said start the family brewery for family unity. And I thought, wow, honey, I just got this message again. I got to share it with you. It said go start this brewery for family unity. And so the Storz, my aunt is my Aunt Monty. She's 90 years old. She's Monty Markel. She's married to my uncle John Markel. And she was the last living Storz. Her grandfather, Gottlieb Storz, started the brewery in 1863. He spent $500,000 building this all-cash brewery down on 16th and Clark, which is the only thing standing today, is the smokestack. And by 1960, this German family had created the 4th largest brewery in the United States, doing 1 million barrels a week. 1 million barrels a week, it's so much beer, it's unbelievable. We won't do 1 million barrels in our lifetime. But anyway, and like all families, the sons don't get along, they sued each other, they sold the business in '66, and it was never seen again until last year when I brought it back on the feast day of St. Augustine, August 28th, the feast day of St. Augustine, the patron saint of brewers. And so today we have 4 beers in the marketplace. You see one of them on your table. It's Triumph, which is about 160 years old, 150 years old. And in starting this business, I decided that I was not going to start another business unless I could put God in the public square. So if you'll turn the bottle over on the side, you'll see our social mission. And our social mission, it's on our packages, it's on our beers, when you come to our restaurant at the trophy room, we have a prayer card on every restaurant seat. And it says, can you do it together? To glorify God through fellowship, sportsmanship, and stewardship. So this came to me in a dream, this mission statement. And when you talk about fellowship, this is what I learned on the Camino. Fellowship is everything. Bob Batt, even, who's a Jewish guy, head of the Liquor Commission, said there was no great story ever shared around water. Now, beer is the 3rd most consumed beverage on the planet. Okay, you have water, tea, and beer. So it made sense that we put fellowship in this issue. How do we fellowship with each other? How do we share stories? How do we get together and unpack our lives in fellowship with each other? Second was sportsmanship. Sportsmanship has a lot to do with our life, right? Every kid, my mother thinks that sports are the breakup of the family on Sundays, but anyway, between soccer and baseball and all these things, what does it mean to be a good sportsman? somebody with good sportsmanship. It means honesty, it means integrity, mentorship, it means coaching, it means listening, it means patience. It has all of the gifts of the Holy Spirit kind of in sportsmanship, right? If you're going to be a good sport, this is what it means to be a good sport. And then lastly is stewardship. How do we have stewardship of our eyes as men? How do we have stewardship of our time? Spending time with you and not picking up a cell phone or looking at it when I'm meeting with you because it says I'm not important. I think our kids need these educations. What does it mean to have stewardship of our lights? We took all the carpets up in our restaurant so we don't have any electricity and we don't have any chemicals. Just little things to make an impact on the world in sport and stewardship. So with all of that, we created this business, and then the mayor came to me and said, I'd like you to have this iconic property down on the riverfront. It used to be Rick's Boatyard. We'd like you to take it over. The Markels, between the Markels, we had the 7th Ford dealership in the United States given to us by Henry Ford in 1907. And so between the Markels and the Storzes, why don't we put you guys down there? And after lots of harassment from her and her team, I said yes. I should have never said yes. The restaurant business is the most complex thing I've ever done in my life. I mean, it's amazingly complex. Anybody who does it right is a gift to humanity. They could do anything. And I'm still learning that business, but we've got great food and we want to develop your senses with craft beer, natural craft food, so that it envelopes your senses and builds a better sense and a product to you. So that's kind of a quick, short story on me and the formation of the family brewery and my walk through life. Thank you.
Okay. We do have some time for question and answer, so 2 or 3 minutes for question and answer if anyone has any questions. I think one thing we need to do at the end when we do our prayers, we need to pray for your daughter and you restore communication between the two of your family anyway. Any
Thanks.
Questions?
Thanks, you guys. Yeah.
Just a comment. I just really appreciate your talk, your sincerity, and your openness. It just really touched me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question about the business that you started that helps people with making credit decisions.
Oh, Credit Trust.
How did you get started with that?
So when I created the largest publicly traded mortgage REIT in the country, it was subprime. It was the very first subprime mortgage REIT. And at this stage, usually the bottles start flying in and all that. That really created the subprime mortgage REIT. Really created a meltdown of the economy globally. And I basically was the godfather of the subprime mortgage REIT. But like Wall Street, they capitalized on all this crazy stuff, and it went nuts. But anyway, what I came out of that is that I started this REIT knowing that I had gone to Vail, Colorado, gone skiing with my family, and missed my house payment in 1977. Or no, 1997. And when you do that, you become Louis the Loser as a person. Back then, one house payment missed, and the FICO scores and all that dropped you so far, nobody would lend you money. So the loan sharks would come out and lend you on your real estate was 50% loan to value, 40 to 60% interest rate. And I basically said, there's lots of people like me that miss their house payment, so why don't we create a deal that's 4 percentage points over prime? And do a reasonable rate to humanity that has mistakes in their lives. We had virtually no losses in our portfolio. And so I decided that if I could get in the credit business and help people understand credit, I could help them get loans for their businesses. And so I started this iBank, information bank for small businesses. And so we help them capture their data in QuickBooks, basically. We do it nationwide. And then we introduce them to 1,200 lenders across the country in a kind of a dating service, so they can help get loans for their businesses. And in that process, Credit Trust created this credit product that you go online, fill in the data, pulls the bureaus, and in a second can tell you, somebody's ability to pay back or not. So the credit scores, because of our business, ended up getting smarter and more reasonable to the marketplace, because when you couldn't get a loan basically under 700 credit score, we brought that down to 625 with a profile of the human being that said, this guy's made a mistake. He had a health problem. He lost his job for a little bit. All we did was make a human judgment and then drop the percentage points by about 60 points so you could afford a house or you could afford your apartment. So that's how Credit Trust got started. I developed all my businesses based on need in the marketplace. And my first business was I invented the outdoor roller skate. which was a 4-prong roller skate that had Adidas shoe on it. I was in California trying to roller skate with my girlfriend. We couldn't get roller skates. Everybody was using them, and when we did, one of my girlfriends broke her wrist by falling backwards on these hard tires. So I said, you know what? I'm going to create a roller skate with these big, round polyurethane tires. I'm going to put on Adidas shoes, so when you hit something hard, you just fly out of the shoes. And so it was a boom. We did. I was 26 years old. We sold 500,000 pairs of shoes in one day.
Wow.
Yeah, at $49 a shoe. So if you want to, I was 26 years old, did $25 million on one day in business. And that kind of started my chaotic life.
Was that your out of the park?
That was, no, that was a third base hit.
Wow. Well, I wish we had more time. It's extraordinary information. And
Okay.
thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.